Good morning and welcome. I'm Guy Belperche, a member of the board, and I apologize because I have a long list of announcements this morning. There's a lot happening. I'll try and get through it as quickly as possible without speed running so fast you don't understand a word I said. So if you're new or new-ish to FirstU, we invite you to join the Introducing Ourselves session today at noon in the Now room downstairs. You can meet others over a light lunch and learn more about FirstU. If you're interested in delving deeper into the theme of today's service, please join Peter, Eva, and others in the lounge, which is right through that door, and there's another door around the side. Following the service, you can grab some food in Fellowship Hall and take it with you. Coffee will be available in the lounge. And I participated in the first one of these, and it was great. On the topic of food, we've been enjoying the tasty food from Mia's Indian cuisine for the last few Sundays. It has been so popular that we could use some volunteer support for the first 15 to 20 minutes right after service to help with the initial rush. If you would be willing to help occasionally in this way, please add your name to the sign-up sheet at the table where the food is served. The fall congregational meeting. Love congregational meetings. It's happening next Sunday in this space right after service, and hospitality hour. We count on your participation. This is an important part of church life. A key part of the meeting will be passing the proposed budget for next year. You should have received the meeting package by now, and if you haven't, please contact our operations manager, Jen, at omr@firstunitarianottawa.ca. Please read the appendix titled Questions and Answers About Finances. And for those who want to do a deeper dive into finance, there are 2 Zoom meetings on the budget next week, one on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. and one on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Please see the EUU for the Zoom links for those meetings. FirstU's biggest fundraiser, the Fall Fair, is coming soon. On Saturday, November the 16th. I checked the calendar, that's 4 weeks yesterday, so it's really close. Our best channel for getting the word out is, well, all of you, the congregation. So please pick up posters and donation guidelines by the doors at the back to give to your friends and to put up in your neighborhood. We're trying to make our public postering more systematic this year, so please indicate on the postering form, and there's Carol in the back, she's waving sheets, so if you turn around and wave hi to Carol. Carol is our outgoing Fall Fair director, and she couldn't be allowed to step away completely, so she's now part of the communications team focusing on our postering and communications efforts. So please indicate on the postering sheet where you will be putting up your posters, like what neighborhood. And if you can do a few extra, please let Carol Card know. And last, but certainly not least, there is going to be a Beatles sing-along this evening. It is a fundraiser for the food cupboard. All are welcome. Even if you think you can't sing, you can, and you'll be one of many voices, so you will sound beautiful. The fun starts with a cash bar and snacks at 6:30 in Fellowship Hall, right over there. And the main event, the singing, will start here in Worship Hall at 7. Please don't bring your drinks or your food into Worship Hall. It's really hard to get stuff out of the carpets and the upholstery. But other than that, we look forward to seeing you.
Good morning. Our sing-along prelude this morning is the same as last week, which means, like last week, we're going to start with a refresher on our clapping. So I will go first. Your turn. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, that's good. You're gonna get it. And now this time I brought this will be louder, so when you're all clapping, I can like help you get in. So each verse we're going to replace the text, keep on moving forward with whatever is below it when we get to the second, third, and fourth verses. And here we go. Here We're gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on moving boldly. Keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Thank you.
It is good to be more awake. Bonjour tout le monde. Welcome everyone to the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. Whether you are here in Worship Hall or watching from wherever you may be, you are welcome, especially on this most glorious of autumn days. I'm the Reverend Eric Meter, the congregation's lead minister.
And I'm Mary, your worship associate this morning. And usually, Eric, you talk longer than that, so you kind of caught me off guard.
Keeping you on your toes.
Thank you. We acknowledge that our FirstU campus is located on traditional, unsurrendered, and unceded Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory, and that the work of reconciliation is the responsibility of our congregation and of all Canadians. Our goal is to educate ourselves and to all those that have the willingness to understand, to be of service to those who are at risk, and to advocate for justice. Let's join our voices in song once more. Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing together Bright Morning Stars, number 357 in our gray hymnal, though we made some changes to what's there, so you may want to let the lyrics on the screen above guide you.
We're going to sing the tune with you once, and then we're going to split off into some harmony up here, and you can feel free to join us in harmony or keep singing the tune, whatever you'd like to do. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Day is
As health challenges continue, do take care and take advantage of online opportunities at FirstU to stay in touch. If you are new to FirstU and would like to learn more about us, please contact us through our email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. And if you are right here in Worship Hall with us this morning and would like more information about FirstU, it's available at the welcome table at the back of the pews, and you already saw Carol back there waving at us, and she has all the information. Oh, no, Carol has now become Eva, and they have all the information necessary. We encourage you to sign up to receive the EUU, our weekly email newsletter. Sign-up information is available on our website under the Communications tab and is a QR code on the back of our printed programs. Check our Facebook and Instagram pages and our website for notices and updates. Our calendar continues to be as full as ever, though some of our activities take place online. This morning, each of us is welcome. We of any heritage or faith, whatever our burdens, of any culture or race, of any gender or orientation, in any body, all that we are. Today we are all a part of the spiritual community. Welcome.
Thank you, Mary. Before we light our chalice this morning, I think there was another important announcement. Is that correct? Chuck, please.
Thank you very much, Eric. I'm Chuck Shields with the board. There is one other announcement, wanted to share with everyone. This past Tuesday morning, representatives from our congregation and Thea Partners signed important documents that move forward the development on our campus of Odayanaway, or Little Village. Those documents related to the creation of the sale of land of the corporation that will build, the creation and sale of land of the corporation that will build the 16-story building that we at FirstU will own in partnership with Thea Partners. Drawing on the architectural highlight of our beloved congregation and our location, the name of the corporation is Aspire Riverview Homes. The name of the building itself will be selected later. Of course, this is just one of the 2 buildings that will be constructed. Documents related to the 6-story building that will be built by Ontario Aboriginal Housing Services are nearing completion, and we expect them to be signed soon. The corporation we will co-own, Aspire Riverview Homes, will be overseen by a 5-member board, 3 from FirstU and 2 from Thea Partners. During this past summer, the FirstU board conducted a search for our 3 representatives. A selection committee of board members interviewed the 5 applicants and made a recommendation to the FirstU board. The board agreed with the recommendation and unanimously appointed Brent Nicole, Lisa Sharp, and Bill Van Eiderson to be our representatives on the board of Aspire Riverview Homes. We look forward to working with them in our journey to create Odayanaway. Let's congratulate them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck, and everyone who has been involved in the planning for our campus expansion. It has taken years and will be years to see fruition. As any change, there will be loss, but there also will be much gain. We hold all of that in care. And now, to begin our morning's reflection on what it means to be good, we light our chalice this morning with these words of welcome adapted from those of Marge Kipe. Even as we kindle our chalice to dispel the night of all we do not know, may we remember that the dark has its own lights. We call them stars, and we steer our lives by them. Our chalice is lit. Come, let us worship together as we begin by singing our chalice response song.
Chalice, chalice, burning bright, help remind us with your light of how we'd like to live each day, with love and truth helping lead the way.
Thank you. And Jody, you have a story for us this morning? Yay!
Good morning, everyone. I am Jody McIntosh, the Director of Religious Exploration, and I have a special story for you this morning. It is called The Good Egg by Jory John and Pete Oswald. Oh, hello. I was just rescuing this cat. Know why? Because I'm a good egg. A very, very good egg. It's true, I do all kinds of good things, like I'll carry your groceries, I'll water your plants, I'll change your tires, I'll paint your house. If you need any help whatsoever, I'm your egg. I've always been a good egg. It's been this way from the start, even in my earliest days. Back at the store, there were a dozen of us living together under one recycled roof. There was Meg and Peg and Greg and Clegg and Shell and Shelley and Sheldon and Shelby and Egbert and Frank and the other Frank. The other 11 eggs weren't on their best behavior. They weren't exactly good. They ignored their bedtime. They only ate sugary cereal. They threw tantrums. They cried for no reason. They broke their stuff on purpose. Meanwhile, I tried to take charge. I tried to fix their bad behavior. I tried to keep the peace because I was a good egg, a very, very good egg. Nobody seemed to care, though. Every night, I was exhausted. My head felt scrambled. Then, one fateful morning, I noticed some cracks in my shell. They were everywhere. My doctor said it was from all the pressure I was putting on myself. The pressure of making sure everybody was as good as me. I was cracking up, literally. Something had to change. I'd had enough. I told Meg and Peg and Greg and Clegg and Shell and Shelley and Sheldon and Shelby and Egbert and Frank and the other Frank I was leaving. I can't be the only good egg in a bad carton, I said. Blah, 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 they replied. I left that night. I wandered from the town to town. The hours became days and the days became weeks. I lost track of time. I was alone. Out there on the road under the stars, I really tried to focus on myself and what I needed. I took walks. I read books. I floated in the river. I wrote in my journal. I found simple moments to be quiet. I breathed in. I breathed out. I even started painting. For once, I found time for me. And guess what? Little by little, the cracks in my shell, they started to heal, and my head no longer felt scrambled. I started to feel like myself again. So I've made a big decision. I've returned to my old carton and my friends. Besides, I'm kind of lonely out here. This time I know what I need to do. I'll try not to worry so much. I'll be good to my fellow eggs while also being good to myself. Here we go. Everybody miss me. I miss them too. Hello, Meg. Howdy, Peg. Hey, Greg. Greetings, Clegg. What's up, Shell? Aloha, Shelly. Hey-o, Sheldon. Hi, Shelby. Good day, Egbert. What's happening, Frank? Howdy do, other Frank. Sure, every once in a while, somebody's still a little bit bad, but it's not like before. Here's what I realized. The other eggs, they aren't perfect, and I don't have to be either. I'm okay with that. Yep, the old carton is back together. We're a solid dozen again. It's good to be home. So this morning, we have a little change of our schedule downstairs. We are going to be gathering all the children in the Chalice room this morning for a special musical presentation by Fred Brown. So if the children can follow Susan down the aisle, and I will see you downstairs. Thank you.
I think someone's going to have fun down there. Each week, we pause in our time together in recognition of the joys and sorrows in our lives and across the globe. We honor our celebrations and challenges by placing stones in small bowls of water. As the ripples extend outward, we imagine them continuing out beyond the small bowls, out through and past our pews, out into the larger community of all. Mary, can you help me? I've got a couple of stones. A stone for Sharon. We are wishing her a smooth procedure and recovery from cataract surgery. And a stone for the family of John McKinnell, who died earlier this month after a long decline. A memorial service for him will be held here on Sunday afternoon, November 3rd. Our hearts go out to his wife, Joan, and the rest of their family. Please come forward as you will now to honor any joys and sorrows, challenges you would like to this morning. Please come forward now. last stone I placed, as always, represents all that remains in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. Carrying cards for John's wife Joan and for Sharon are at the back of the hall for us to sign at the caring table. Even if you don't yet know them, this is a way for us to extend our care on behalf of those who have given so much to this community. Let us move now into a time of stillness and reflection. After several moments, we'll come back together through the gift of music. Three Rivers Singers.
Today's anthem, Storm Comin', will be performed by Three Rivers. This is a piece by Ruth Moody of the Wayland Jennies, and it speaks to meeting challenges and difficult things in your life head on with resilience and optimism and hope.
When the storm comes, don't run for cover. When the storm comes, don't run
and a good day got much better. Recently, early one morning this last week when I was walking my dog, Sammy, I remembered a little story a colleague once told. Reverend David Bumbaugh, retired now, described a conversation he overheard in a restaurant during lunch. Two women were sitting and were talking together at a nearby table. One of them said to the other, "Sounds like you're looking for a faith community, but the Christianity you were raised into isn't fitting you anymore. Have you considered the Unitarians?" "Never heard of them. What do they believe in?" Therein followed a long pause. Thank you. This is a question that can stump, and often does, the best of us. Then a single word uttered with clarity: recycling. Now, if you're going to try to pin us down with just one word, you can do much worse than that. Yes, by and large, while we have no set creed, we are people who believe in recycling. So walking the dog the other morning, I was faced with a small pile of discarded, crumpled cans of 7-Up, Grape Crush, and Red Bull. My quandary, terribly deep quandary. Do I walk them over to the park trash can and toss them in along with Sammy's waste, or do I gather them up and schlep them home and put them in recycling? With my senior colleague's story in mind, I dumped them out as best I could and schlepped them home. Into recycling they went, and tomorrow morning, city staff will whisk them away, and hopefully they'll come back to life as more soda cans or something. I mention all this to say that I try to be a good egg, and my sense is that most of you do too. We aspire, pun intended, to be good people. But what does that mean? Who decides who's good, and what are the criteria? I mean, I'm a good person, at least I like to think so. And then, earlier this year, my wife and I flew to Melbourne, Australia, to visit our son's best friends who had just given birth to their first child a few months before. I was feeling great about the visit until I looked up just how much carbon dioxide my share of the flights produced. Given the distance, the type of plane, and an estimate as to how many passengers were on board, my estimate is that I contributed 7.3 metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere each way. That's more than 14 and a half round trip. When I tried to imagine 14.6 metric tons of a gas and try to imagine how much space it would take up, my brain just stops, can't do it. If you know the answer, tell me after the service. The Subaru I drive weighs just under 1,800 kilograms. Does that mean that my share of the CO2 emissions had as much mass as 8 of my cars? Holy blank. I'm really not the good person I thought myself to be. Perhaps, thankfully though, our impact on the environment is not the only aspect of our goodness, or perhaps I should say potential goodness. Are we generous towards others? Following Guy's message a couple weeks ago, how readily do we practice compassion, and how widely? To what degree do we live for ourselves or for others? If we put all our heads together, we could come up with a fairly comprehensive list, but I doubt anyone will ever create a complete one. Now, I'm generalizing here, by which I mean I'm going to be wrong. But folks, by and large, who walk through the doors of a Unitarian Universalist congregation on a breathtakingly beautiful, sunny mid-October Sunday morning are not necessarily doing so because they have sins that need forgiving. I said, I'm wrong on that, I'm sure. As the first Universalist preacher to arrive on North America's shores, Reverend John Murray put it, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Why should I need the threat of hell to prompt me to do good when doing good is in itself inherently rewarding?" Now, Reverend Murray may have been simplifying things a bit. There are a lot of behaviors that begin inherently rewarding that often end up being quite problematic. I don't think I need to spell these out. Doing what we understand as good, of benefit to ourselves and others, is inherently rewarding. It helps us live in accord with our conscience. In short, it helps us sleep at night, and hopefully others as well. My wife, Ann, had a work colleague who saw herself very much as a good egg, capital G, capital E. The woman had served in the agency for well over 20 years and had a very clear sense of how things should be. She was never in management, but she did train new employees. The thing was, as clear as it was that her heart was in the right place, goodness to her was seeing things and doing things her way. In this, she was tireless, and her efforts helped shape the culture of the unit in which she served. There was right and there was wrong, and right was the way she thought things, and there was no room for other styles, personalities, or approaches. If she was aware in the cracks in her shell from all of her efforts, and it was not clear that she was, she would have likely seen those cracks as battle scars and been proud of the efforts and sacrifices she made for the greater good, capital G, capital G. Would it surprise you to learn that she was feared by her coworkers more than respected, and that she had no one who called her friend among the staff? It got to the point that the rest of the staff would just simply listen to her, but inwardly turn off, taking no stock in what she was saying. No one ever asked her about her motivations or took the risk to talk to her about how her behavior landed. All of this created a terribly sad situation, one that could have been avoided, even remedied. Worse, when her health became threatened, there was no one willing to risk changing the norms that had been built up over the years. She only hunkered down and found safety in even greater attempts to influence how others did things. Now, the flip side of this is acquiescing too much, being such a people pleaser that people take you for granted. This is where Ralph Waldo Emerson's line from his essay Self-Reliance comes in. The line being, "Your goodness must have some edge to it, else it is none." But returning to Anne's former workmate, if only someone would have left a copy of Mary Oliver's poem, The Wild Geese, earmarked for her. Thinking of that poem, I imagine some of you, if not most of you, have watched the geese flying overhead these last few days. The poem, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. When I think that I might actually know it all and be the good egg, willing and able to corral my cart mates, if that's a phrase, I stop myself and return to the memory of getting ready for bed one night years ago now. I had driven 8 hours, Ann and I, after each of us worked a full day's work. While I was dog-tired, I don't know if you have the same experience, my eyes were still traveling at highway speeds. And as I was preparing to floss my teeth, I found myself pulling the thread out of the container, and I became fascinated as it got longer and longer. And suddenly I had over a meter of it in my hands, and the moment, I forgot what it was for. At a loss, I turned to Anne with a look that asked, "What do I do with this?" To this day, I've never seen her laugh so hard. I'm sure none of you has ever had an experience like that. Am I a good person? Are we good people? Well, we are good at being people, and in the end, that may be all we can say. Still, let's continue to benefit our lives and the lives of our neighbors, doing what we can, understanding that perfection may only be, sadly, a pipe dream, while we still strive for excellence. To remember that while we may believe in recycling, it is the least of the 3 R's. Reduce and reuse come first and make a greater impact for the good. To live our lives with compassion for others as well as for ourselves. To be honest in what we say. And to take others seriously and ourselves perhaps a bit less so. To offer what we alone can offer this world. And to make the most of majestic days like today, by which I mean every single day. So may it be. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Eric, for a very thought-provoking reflection. I'm sure it will elicit a lot of conversation afterwards. And before we make our offering this morning, I'd like to invite Allie Hobson forward. Allie has a testimonial for us as part of our annual pledge drive. Allie.
Hi, everyone. So I knew I'd have a little discomfort getting up to talk about the pledge and commitment to this Unitarian community, just because I'm not always the most involved person. I don't have the longest history at this congregation. And, you know, I have certain feelings about that. But when I saw the subject or the topic for today's service, I knew that I would be able to talk about one of my favorite topics that gives me a lot of pride and a lot of joy, and that's my experience growing up as a child who was raised in the Unitarian tradition. So a lot of people are converts to this faith community. A lot of people come and make it their adoptive home. I had the opportunity to grow up here, and something I really am proud of and love talking about. I grew up in the Montreal church, so I have so many formative experiences from those years. I did visit the Ottawa congregation every once in a while because I had family here. I remember in both congregations the Christmas traditions, the Child Haven International fundraisers, all the lessons where we learned about Unitarian history, where we learned about other religious traditions. And there's so much in that experience that I want to replicate for my family. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Most of all, what I learned is the value that there is in learning in this lifelong journey of learning ethics and principles in community, in relationship with a broader group of people of different ages who are committed to sharing and living out the same values. So parents can try and dictate, standards, they can try and model ethical behavior for their kids, but it's really no substitute to growing up and watching the adults around you actually live out those commitments or try to live out those commitments, fail in front of you, and try again. Without that base, the truth is we grow up in this world where we're taught to share, we're taught to be kind to each other, but then you go out into the world, and so often, especially as a young person, it can seem like those values are not actually rewarded, that you're actually, sometimes people committed to those values are held back from conventional success, that they're not rewarded at a societal level, and that can be extremely disorienting and confusing for a young person. For instance, I'm sure this will resonate with other people. My parents would tell me, growing up, homophobia, racism, these are unacceptable behaviors. I'm sure many other kids got that kind of messaging from their parents. But there's a really funny thing that happens when you go out into the world away from your parents, maybe a high school environment, where there's pressure to be subversive, pressure to be mean for laughs, pressure to engage in this kind of race to the bottom, and all of a sudden your parents' dictates seem really out of touch, and they don't seem to kind of hold weight in the reality you find yourself in. But I remember growing up as one of those little kids, being as young as 13 or 14, and realizing that I had been given additional tools by the adults in my life for grounding myself in a moral compass that a lot of people didn't have. So I didn't just have an authority figure tell me how to be nice. I grew up with all of these adults sharing their stories of being either victims of injustice, victims of hatred, or living with the regret of having not learned these lessons earlier in life. And I knew not just, to make fun, not to make fun of people for being different. I knew that the source of all of these problems was this unequal, unjust society that constantly dangles the temptation of using scapegoats, the temptation of sort of putting yourself superior to others. And I knew how to recognize that, and I knew that ultimately it's a weakness to sort of take that bait and put the weight of the pain we're all feeling onto marginalized peoples. And I had seen so much of that modeled for me already. And that's, the big difference from my perspective. Unitarians aren't just inherently better people, but growing up around Unitarians means you don't just learn history, it means you're surrounded by people who are constantly debating the best ways to teach history. How do we teach these lessons so that we make sure the same mistakes don't happen to other people? Growing up around Unitarians means you don't just learn sex ed, it means you're surrounded by adults constantly debating the best way to teach sex ed. So how do we make sure our kids grow up into a sexuality that's safe for them, fulfilling, and right for them as individuals? Growing up Unitarian means you don't just learn how to achieve justice for yourself or for people like you. You're constantly around adults debating the best ways to achieve social justice for everyone. When I look around And I see so many problems in the world that are so much bigger for me to manage on my own, for my daughter who's 5 to manage on her own. I know the importance of being able to be raised in a community that's going to be constantly committed to that, constantly committed to changing, adding new principles, and growing together to make sure that we're doing our very best all together. So that has really meant a lot for me in my life, and thank you all for being that for me now.
Thank you, Allie. Well, this has been quite the service, starting with the storm coming from Three Rivers, which was very thought-provoking, going through Reverend Eric, who continued this trek sort of thing, and now Allie. Thank you so much. There's a lot of meat in this service, and anybody joining in the lounge after this service, you'll have a lot to talk about. And those who are out there who are not able to attend, maybe you might like to think about attending and coming and being involved in this sort of thing. So I'm a hybrid Unitarian. I was United Church for many, many years, but I have bought into this Unitarian idea, and I am thoroughly happy here. And I just wanted to put in a little bit of plug for those of you who may have been admiring my scarf. This is a scarf that the house band wears, if assuming they all wear it, but this is our signature scarf. And as you know, we're having a Beatles sing-along tonight at 7 o'clock, and cash bar and food at 6:30. And I hope you'll come and join us, because it'll just plain be fun. And that's what we're out for. So now, will our ushers start passing the baskets at this time? Thank you. This congregation has a long history of care, vitality, in bringing people together to move the arc of justice forward. We have been able to live into our hopes and dreams because of the generosity of those within and beyond this community. Whether you are here in Worship Hall or anywhere else, you are a part of this community. We rely on one another to keep this congregation vital and resilient. If you have any questions about how you can give, please go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how to make a donation or keep up with your pledge. And I thank people who are moving things along within the pews. Our gifts are freely given and gratefully received. We dedicate these gifts to the work of this community of faith, serving human wholeness, caring for the planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. And now let us sing together once more. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing, I Know I Can, which you'll find is number 1015 in our teal hymnal, and the words will be up on the screen.
And earth was
I know we will go on. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, singers. Before we begin to close this time of worship and reflection, a reminder that coffee hour will begin in Fellowship Hall immediately after the service. Leafy greens, courtesy of the good folks of Ajaski, are available to anyone who would like some from the grow towers in the room just next door, as are food and household items from our grocery support program. Another reminder that Mustafa Mia will be offering food for lunch, cash only, please. And in the lounge, there will be a conversation related to our theme this morning. Let's see. I've lost my prop. But if you are new here, still feel new, or simply welcome a really good conversation today, pick up another green mug as you enter Fellowship Hall. Doing so will help others looking forward to a good conversation find you. And if you see someone sporting a green mug, approach them. Ask them about who they are and what drew them here this morning to start another great conversation. Now, as we prepare to extinguish our chalice, may these words from my friend and colleague, Paul LaRue, be our guide. Our time together is brief. Our understanding is small. Our interconnections are tenuous. Though this be true, we learn through our struggles. We find support in our connections. We remind ourselves to savor the precious gift of each moment of life. Our flame is extinguished, but the spark of our faith and connections resides in each one of us. Jen, will you please bless us again by leading us in our song, Spirit of Life, which will be on the screen above. We'll sing it first through in English and then en français. As now we return to the joy and the challenge of helping the world come alive in love, let us feel love and hope in our fingertips as we walk with peace each step of our lives. Go in peace, my friends. Go in peace.